Hello, Mr. Ross
Charlie,
Davenport.
how do you say my last name?
Davenport.
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 No,
I'm
listen,
never,
I've,
English.
I've spent my entire life being called Davenport. My dad's nickname when he was growing up playing rugby was Davers because nobody knew how to spell his last name. So it just became Davenport Davers. So anybody that knows Dad from Wasps knows him as Davers, which I think is funny.
Well, you
But,
should see how they misspell my nickname. This one, Charlie.
well, I always spell your last name. I always throw an S in your last name as well instead of a Z. But anyway, we gotta get going. We have.
Oh, yes.
I think we have more people in this episode that were involved in that plate final melee at Ruggerfest on Saturday, but maybe about the same amount, I think. But we do have a packed episode. Every week I said it's going to be a packed episode. This episode is as packed as they come. So this is episode 22 of Talking Florida Rugby Occasionally. TFRO, the only Florida Rugby podcast, brought to you by myself, Ross Davenport, Fatback referee assigner, sometime broadcaster on occasion, although not this season for MLR. And I'm joined by my esteemed producer, Charlie Velasquez. Charlie, how are we doing this evening? We recovered from your weekend of running up and down the southeast coast of the state.
I don't know yet. I don't know, but it was really awesome, as your dad likes to use that word. The weekend was really the tournament was something else. I mean, after so much time, And I have to say hi, Valentina. Hola, Valentina, because she's watching today and she has a cute rugby shirt, which I'm going to show at the end of the show. Okay.
Yeah, I see her behind you there. Meanwhile, I'm wearing a soccer shirt because I came straight from practice. Wearing my new Inter Miami jersey that I got on sale yesterday. Clearance. Who's that in the background?
No, it's my phone. Of course, I always forget to.
It sounds like a cat. I thought maybe you'd purchased a cat since I last talked to you.
Not yet.
All right. Anyway, we got to get going here, Charlie. We've got a long episode here.
Okay. Now, I think people may notice we have a couple of logos there, which is something we want to talk about straight away, right?
Yeah. Oh, by the way, if anybody's having trouble, I've already just got one message from somebody trying to find the video on Facebook. Charlie's we're having some Facebook issues with the stream. So if you know friends, I see we only have 11 viewers, which may be because of the Facebook issues, but we are available on YouTube via rugbyfl.com/TFRO. So if you can't find us on Facebook because of the technical issues, you can find us on YouTube. Are we also on Twitch, Charlie?
Yes, we are. Yes, we are. And yes, there is some problem with Facebook. I'm just gonna. Everybody has that. The YouTube link is very easy. rugbyfl.com/tfro. I'll post it right away. I'm gonna see if I can maybe fix this. But
anyway, while you do that, yes, as Charlie pointed out, we do have a logo right below my head, right below Charlie's head, for our new sponsor. We got a sponsor, Charlie, for the rest of the season, and we're very proud to have him.
Yes, we are.
Mick Graham, a native Australian who is the head coach of Brevard Red Eyes men's team up in the Space Coast there, has graciously sponsored the rest of our episodes for the season. And Mick Graham owns a business, and his business is, as you can see there, is called 401k FL or 401k Florida. So it's a very similar name to our podcast. But if you own a business, or if you have a 401k, or if you need a 401k, I think I need a 401k. I used to have one, but not anymore. Now that I work for myself more than anybody now. But 401k Florida, the business is to tackle all of your 401k needs, your retirement plan needs as well, and goals. Their team has the expertise in the field of retirement plans, both big and small. So if your retirement plan, Charlie, you and I are getting close to retirement.
Not really. I'm not planning to retire ever. So
only in age, though. But if you're out there and your retirement plan hasn't been reviewed in a while, consider getting a complimentary consultation by 401k Florida, and you can visit 401kfl.com to kick things off. Now, Mick couldn't join us tonight, but we will have him, I think, next week, Charlie. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
So we'll have Mick to join us. But again, massive thanks to Mick for his support of the podcast and rugbyfl.com. It's great to see someone really truly recognize what Charlie, provides for the rugby community in this state. Of course, I help out a little bit here with the podcast, but Charlie's website, rugbyfl.com, has been going for a number of years. How many years now, Charlie?
9. I have to
9
think.
years.
Oh,
I'm going to say it is the best local rugby site in America. It has the updated scores every week, the schedule, everything you need to know about Florida rugby. So thanks to Mick Graham for helping us out and sponsoring this podcast.
I just want to say one quick thing about Mick, because I think it needs to be like on the record. I'm so happy about this and so proud because I don't know him. He's just been here a couple of years up there in Brevard from Australia.
Yeah.
And what happened is he just saw not the last episode, the one before, I think it was. And the next day he called me and he said, "Oh, I want to sponsor this because this is a great thing for Florida rugby." So, and it was very straightforward, and I really appreciate. And I think it's like an example of when you see something that you need to support. And not only this, of course, your local clubs you need to support, but support means not always, but the financial support is something very important for any organization, and it's what is allowing us to move forward, trying to get things every day better. I'm really sorry about the Facebook thing. I don't think I can fix it today. I will
That's
go.
All right. Well, again, you can always go back and watch it. Hopefully we can upload it to Facebook afterwards. I had a friend today who just started a brand new business and has an Instagram account that got hacked within 2 weeks of him starting the account. So now he's had to start a brand new account because Instagram just say, "Oh, we'll look into it." So he had to start a brand new account. So with Facebook having some trouble tonight as well. But yeah, again, massive thanks to Mick for his support of the podcast. If you're in need of any 401k services and you're watching this in Florida, please support Mick's business.
Okay.
As you see on the screen there, 401kfl.com. Or you can call the number there, 321-610-3200. And we'll have Mick on next week to explain a little more about his business and how it can help you out. All right. If you'd like to be like Mick, I want to say be like Mike, as the old ad used to be, but if you want to be like Mick and help out Rugby FL, the podcast here in Tifro, we upgraded the StreamYard to be able to have 10 people on there. That costs a little bit extra and be able to stream to places like Twitch. So big thanks to Mike Gomez, who contributed last week from Florida State, Tallahassee Rugby. Rugbyfl.com/GoFundMe, or you can Venmo at RugbyFL, PayPal.me/RugbyFL if you want to use PayPal. Listen, any contributions go right back to the podcast. I think I may have a green screen soon, Charlie, so I can stop looking like I'm in a hostage situation here in my bedroom, which would be awesome. I could maybe pretend like I'm at Twickenham with fans watching England-Wales. I forget if it's at Twickenham or in Wales next week, but we'll certainly have Kenny Hanley on next week to talk about that. Only if England win, of course. All right, we gotta get moving here, Charlie. We got so much stuff to talk about here. Our first guest this evening is going to be Roy Monk, the president of the Florida Rugby Referees Association, who is going to talk about how you can join the referee ranks, pick up the whistle, earn a bit of cash, help out the rugby community, and become a referee. There are two upcoming referee courses. Oh, there's Roy. Roy, how are we doing?
Doing great. Thank you very much.
Roy actually got his whistle out this weekend and refereed up in West Palm Beach. How are the knees, Roy?
Knees are okay. My calves feel like concrete, but everything is still working. It was good to be back in the middle running around again.
Yes, chasing those young college kids. He did Gainesville U23s, the team formerly known as UF, against Palm Beach U23, the team formerly known as FAU. FAU with a nice, comfortable victory. I think they've started the season. I think they're 2-0 now. And we'll go up to Tallahassee this weekend. But Roy's here to talk about referee courses. We need referees, Roy. We're struggling here in the state of Florida. We're a transient state. We have refs come and go. We have some refs not refereeing this year because of COVID. We have some injuries because referees haven't ref for a year. And also because they're just old, like me, and out of shape. But as Charlie's graphic shows right there, you can give back to the game that gave you so much. If you don't have the time to coach, which obviously takes a lot more time with practices and full games, etc., you can be a referee, and you get paid $1 a minute to ref, which is not the case everywhere. We're very, very lucky in Florida that we're able to compensate our referees. And so, Roy, give us some news on a couple of upcoming referee courses, level 1.
Yes, 2 level 1 courses coming up shortly. The first one is actually this Sunday, February 28th, in Port St. Lucie. And They both start at 9 o'clock. The second one is on Sunday, March the 14th in Gainesville. And we've put them both on Sundays, so we don't have to listen to the perennial complaint that I can't come to the course because I'm playing.
Right.
So they're on Sundays, so no excuse.
Yeah, and what is the cost involved in that, Roy? And I hear referees can get that cost back if they commit to roughing a little bit.
That is correct. The cost to register with USA Rugby is $75, I believe it is, and the Florida Rugby Union will reimburse the cost of that course once you have refereed at least 3 15s matches.
So there you go. And I'm sure a lot of clubs out there would graciously pay for any member of their club that would like to get qualified as a referee, especially if it would help them out with the youth side of things, the B-side of things to start off with, and then you can gradually climb up the ladder.
Absolutely, we're looking for all ages. It doesn't matter whether your playing days are coming to an end and you still want to give back to the game. Refereeing is a great way to do it. Or you're a youngster, you're still in high school or college. You want to earn some extra money. The high schoolers, you can referee some of the youth games. And as you progress and you decide that you really enjoy it, then we can move you into the mainstream. Refereeing the league games.
Yeah, we're desperately short of referees in certain areas of the state. I know as the referee assigner for the state, we've lost, I think, 3 referees, if not 4, in the middle of the state over the last few weeks due to either potential COVID exposure, injury, work commitments. So if you're in the middle of the state, can get over to Gainesville next month, that would be awesome. But we also need, I'd love to say that word. My dad gives me shit for saying awesome too much, but I'm going to say in this case, it would be great if we could add to the referee ranks. We do have a few dead spots, as we said, Roy.
Yes, definitely a dead spot. I actually just about an hour ago had a conversation with the coach of Jacksonville, and he is going to publicize the course throughout all of the teams up in that area of all age groups. But yeah, the Northeast is definitely a dead spot for us, and then across obviously into Tallahassee, we struggle in the north end of the state for sure. And as of right now, I think the Tampa area is a little light. We could do with a few more on the West Coast.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it hasn't come to that stage yet, but there certainly could be a stage this year if we keep losing more refs that there won't be enough refs to go around. I encourage clubs out there listening to, if you can, especially if you have a local match coming up, perhaps move the match to Friday night if it's a short drive for the visiting team. That will allow you to get better quality of referees on Friday nights. I know we've got a U16 match going on Wednesday night this week, which is great for them. They'll get a solid referee for that one. So if you're able to, work with us as a referee organization and move games if you can. There's certain weeks that are a lot worse than others. Obviously, this past weekend we had Ruggerfest and we had 9 referees there, which I shout out to them for helping out on a long day Saturday. Beautiful weather, but the fields were rough, and I'm sure my knees and feet are hurting like everybody else is out there. So if we can get more refs on the rankings, whether it's part-time, full-time, whether it's just youth here and there that we've seen. If you go back and watch in our archives, we had a chat with Haley and Cisco and Lex, all referees from the state of Florida that have advanced to the national stage and have gone worldwide to referee. The opportunities are there for people to pay you to go around the world. They will pay for your flights to go to Dubai. They will pay for your flights to go everywhere to referee. So it's an awesome opportunity. So where can they go to sign up for these courses, Roy?
If you go to the USA Rugby website, usarugby.org, and go to the training and education page, all of the courses around the country are listed there. But there's a link to sign up for each of the courses. There are a few prerequisites which you need to complete before attending the course, because the course is not a study of the laws. There is a law study exam to do before you attend, along with a couple of other Rugby Ready programs that need to be completed. But the course itself is fun. It's primarily outside. practical aspects of refereeing. There's about an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours maximum in the classroom. The rest of the day is outside practicing being a referee and blowing the whistle and where you need to be and what you need to be looking for.
Excellent. So if you go to usa.rugby and then click on My Rugby and then Referee Rugby, I think that's where you will find the courses. There's a bunch of resources there. You can click and look level 1 officiating and find the local course there. So we hope to see many of you there. Thanks, Roy. Appreciate you coming out. Roy's going to be running both of those courses along with, I think, Pancho Lopez. Lopez.
Pancho will be helping me. You can also go to Charlie's Facebook page, Charlie's website, the Florida Rugby Referees Facebook page. The links are all over. The FRU has them published as well. So plenty of locations to find the link for the courses.
Yeah, Charlie will share all the links on Rugby FL. The Rugby FL Facebook page. Thanks, Roy. Appreciate you taking the time to join us this evening. First guest of many.
Thank you,
on
Roy.
Episode 22, which
guys.
is on the 22nd. Charlie, you did remind me of that earlier in the week, and I just remembered. Episode 22 of TFRO on the 22nd. Thanks, Roy. Cheers. All right. That's the most important news, right? We need more referees. So hopefully we can find
Absolutely.
some of these referee courses this month and next month. All right.
Let's move on.
It's time let's move on to our next segment. It's our weekly We Effed Up segment. I effed up last week. Charlie was going to give me a red card for confusing women's rugby and men's rugby.
It was pretty embarrassing because we were watching the women play Tampa against Jacksonville, and Ross was saying, now we have the men on, I'm pretty sure. And I was like, no, there's still the women. I don't know if you got a lot of hate mail. But if you didn't,
I didn't get much hate mail, but I do apologize.
Okay,
I will say that your rundown had the videos in an incorrect order, so I thought we were watching men first, but when we were watching women, and I did not have my glasses, and I was on my little laptop for the first time, which I'm on again tonight. I also effed up tonight. The wife went for a happy hour drink up. I went to soccer practice to coach my son's team and forgot to pick her up on the way back. I did remember to pick up my daughter, however, so she is here. They're both home now, of course, but yeah, apologies to the wife for that one. We will be at an earlier time next week because this was the last soccer practice my son's team is in the championship game this Saturday.
Yeah.
But enough of that. We got to move on.
Move on. Perry Baker.
3 quick things. Before Perry Baker, those of you that watched our episode with him last fall will appreciate what a nice guy he is. USA Eagles Sevens, men's and women's teams were out in Madrid Sevens playing this past weekend. They will also play there again this weekend. But Perry Baker, as you see there, scoring a try. Is he going to score it, Charlie? It's a little choppy. There we go.
Yes, he's going to score.
I don't know if it's just choppy on my end or if it's choppy on everybody's end. But anyway, former Daytona Beach legend Perry Baker, who, again, joined us for an amazing episode back at the fall. He unfortunately broke his leg. Although they haven't really released exactly what happened. It's either his leg or his ankle against Kenya in a play that we might get to here, Charlie. I don't know if we're going to get to.
I couldn't get it.
We're having some technical difficulties, but yeah, the Eagles hadn't played obviously since the end of the last World Rugby Sevens series, which was cut short. The Eagles won twice on Saturday over Portugal and Spain, lost to Argentina, and then they were going to play Kenya, and they did. And unfortunately, Perry Baker broke his leg or his ankle. The USA released a statement today that they weren't going to go into details about Perry's injury, but obviously, we hope he gets better quickly.
I want to quickly say that I did made an effort to actually invite him over, just in case, but it didn't happen. Maybe next week we can have him.
Yeah, hopefully we can get Perry on. Brian Richardson, a good friend of the pod, a Daytona Beach rugby legend himself, good friends with Perry. But again, hopefully Perry heals up quickly. The Olympics is coming up this summer, 5 months away or so. Whether he heals up in time for that one is a big question, and the Eagles will sorely miss him. We also had Kristen Thomas, former UCF player, who also joined us on the pod back in the fall. This was a great try here, set up by this amazing leap here.
Yeah.
And we'll see Kristen Thomas hopefully finish this off in a second. Kristen scored 3 tries over the 5 games that USA played this weekend in Madrid. So great start to her 2021 for Chris Thomas, we'll call it. She also calls herself Kristen, but
there she goes.
There she goes there. Scoring in the corner with that superb speed. So good start to the season, we'll call it, for Kristen Thomas. So both teams finished 3rd in the Madrid Sevens, and again, contributions by Florida products on both sides. Speaking of Florida products, let's get to our number 2 quick thing, Charlie, if we can.
Yes, and I don't have any video for this.
That's fine. We like to focus on our Florida products that have gone out of state and done great things, whether it be in the college ranks or even the elite men's ranks or the pro ranks. Well, this weekend, Lindenwood men's and women's teams both played at Life in Marietta, Georgia, and Lindenwood took the clean sweep in the doubleheader. The men and the women both won in their Mid-South Conference play matchups. We'll mention this. We'll see how Chris Vassell, Life legend himself, feels about these defeats later in the show, perhaps. But the men's victory was the first ever victory for Lindenwood over the Running Eagles in their 18 matchups. Life did have a couple of Florida products starting, with Chase Shore-Haskin playing number 8 and Jared Miller, a crew product, starting at second row. They lost 45-27, unfortunately, to Lindenwood. That game was refereed. Another Florida connection was refereed by Cisco Lopez, who also joined us back in the floor on the referees episode. And on the women's side, former Fort Lauderdale Ruggerfest and Fort Miami player Morgan Freeman started at number 9. She's the vice captain now of the Lindenwood team and scored a first half try in the women's 39-17 victory over Life. So congrats to all the Lindenwood folk that are checking in tonight, which might not be many, but that's a superb Saturday for them to start the season. Now, I'm going to mention here that we want to know when our out-of-state players do well, personally, or if their team finds success. So we are starting a database, or I'm starting a database of players playing elsewhere that come from Florida. So email Charlie at charlie@rugbyfl.com or message me on Facebook, text me, email me, whatever you need to do, so we can stay updated with things going on north of the border. All right, I think that's it for quick things, Charlie. We got to move on here. We've got so much in this episode; it's insane. Let's get to Ruggerfest. This past Saturday, the Fort Lauderdale Ruggerfest sort of came up from the ashes like a phoenix. Had 20 teams, including some real quality teams, which we'll talk a little bit about more in a minute. Went to a 10s format. They sort of benefited a little bit from Savannah tournament getting canceled. Next month, some teams perhaps planning to play in that changed their plans at the last minute and decided to come down for Ruggerfest. And it was an awesome day. Weather was beautiful. We had some serious rugby out there on display. 20 teams, as I said, ended up with the Optimus team taking the title. Optimus, we'll get to them in a little bit. But let's talk to Nick Vickers, the organizer of the Fort Lauderdale Ruggerfest. Nick, good to see you. How are we feeling after Saturday? We recovered yet?
A little hoarse and a little tired, but on the whole, okay.
How did the tournament go from your eyes?
I mean, look, I think on the whole, we have to be over the moon with how it went. Like you alluded to before, things kind of fell in our favor somewhat with Savannah cancellation, but, and then we lucked out with some beautiful weather. But, really more than anything else, just a big thank you to everyone who contributed in many different ways to the tournament. Myself, obviously, running the show, so to speak, but, with having the support of Neil, who did an amazing job with all of our COVID protocols, which was not an easy thing to put together.
No, not at all.
He did a remarkable job in that respect. And obviously using Toby Lawrence and his years of experience, considering this was my first year running the tournament, was significant too. And then obviously just thank you to all the sponsors who contributed to the day. My own group, Associates MD Medical Group that I work for, they contributed the top prize of the $2,500, which, I think went a long way to attracting a lot of teams. And then, of course, Ross, listen, big shout out to you and your refs. It seems cliche, but it's always true that, there is no game without referees. Now, I know how hard you work to put together a good squad of referees so, they could match the quality of the play at the tournament. And, frankly, I think the feedback from what you guys did was fantastic. So a big thank you to you as well. No,
cheers, Nick. Yeah, listen, as I said earlier, I appreciate the 9 guys that joined me out there. We had varying levels of referees, from guys that have just been refereeing for a year or two to guys like me that have been refereeing for over 10 years. Scott Duvall and Pat O'Donnell came over from the West Coast to help out in a pandemic situation where we are a little short. It was great to see the help, but obviously big thanks as well to the volunteers that I saw running the food tent, running the beer tent. We had a merchandise stand there. That guy came down from New Hampshire, I think he said, drove down with all the merch. There was some amazing merchandise there. I'm somehow amazed I didn't spend more money at the merch tent. But yeah, no, a superb tournament. We will ignore the fact that one of the in goals, the posts were at the front, and the other end was the posts were at the back on field one. I managed to not referee on that field, but it was an awesome day and capped off, by a superb performance by Optimus, which we'll get to in a second. Now, Nick, how the feedback was good about the tournament, I think, from everybody involved, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, listen, it kind of, for me, it just, the whole day just seemed to go by so quick. It was a blur. Like, you plan for this for months and months and months, and then the day itself, you sort of blink and, it's over. Yeah, no, look, I mean, any team that was coming from any state out of Florida, I think, was just over the moon to get out of the cold.
Yes.
Like teams from Green Bay, Illinois, Connecticut. I mean, just for them to come down and be in, I think eventually it was like 74 degrees on the day with a nice sort of light breeze and a bit of cloud cover. So you can't beat that. And I think everyone who watched the rugby could see there was some really good talent on display. I mean, you mentioned Optimus there, who ultimately won the tournament. I mean, I think when anyone kind of first set eyes on them, they were like, okay, hang on, these guys are going to be pretty tough to beat today. They have some real quality. I think that primarily based out of Georgia, but I think they pulled some guys from New Hampshire and, from all over the rest of the country who just wanted to play. So, clearly from the get-go, they were going to be tough to beat. But Green Bay, they came down, they put a great effort in on the final, some real quality players. And then, probably the standout team from our Florida boys was Naples, who, they beat Life. I'm not sure how, with the games you mentioned, Life v. Lindenwood before, maybe they were stretching themselves a little thin. That being said, it's Life, so they're always rolling out a quality team. And then they beat the Stormers, who are a strong outfit too. So hats off to them. But ultimately, the Optimus guys, you could see they were a real quality outfit. So congratulations to them on winning the tournament.
Yeah, no, congratulations to Optimus. We'll talk to Marcus Satevu and Mark Diaz in a minute from Optimus. Great they could join us and talk about their relationship with the Hartford Harpooners. But let's looking forward. I know you only had a couple of days to think about it, but is this something you may think about doing in the future, Nick, and keeping it as a 10s event? I know it was originally 15s back in the day, and then it went sort of leaned old boys for a little while, but this 10s thing seems to be taking off. Obviously, with the World 10s in Bermuda this past fall/winter, was a great success. People watching it on TV, and is this something you may continue to do in the future? Go with the 10s route?
I mean, listen, it's one of these things. We're going to let the dust settle on everything for like a week or so first, and then we'll sit down. I mean, I like the concept. I played it in a few times in when I was back in high school. And I know it's obviously probably, a lot of people probably aren't too familiar with it. I mean, 7s and 15s obviously dominate, and, they're the more traditional concepts of the game. But, really when we were putting this together, we were like, okay, well, hang on. We the tournament, as you've alluded to, has had some ups and downs. And over the last few years, it's been somewhat of a struggle. So for me, when I agreed to take it over, it was like, okay, well, how do we differentiate ourselves? Like what can make us different? So, we highlighted a couple of things. I mean, like I said, the prize money was something that, we came up with pretty quickly. Like I said, we're fortunate enough that we have some good, connections in the business industry in Fort Lauderdale. So, we were able to garnish a decent amount of sponsorship. So when we're thinking, we just really want this headline. How are we going to capture people? What's going to make them look at us and our tournament over, say, a Savannah or something else? Now, ultimately, COVID put pay to almost every other tournament. But, that still doesn't change the fact that we needed to change the concept and, have something that would stand out. And then the prize money and then the switch to the 10s, I think ultimately helped us. So, what we need to do is not see this and sit here and just pat ourselves on the back and say, hey, what a great tournament. It's okay. That's step one. Now, how do we go to step 2, 3, 4, 5 over the next 5 years and really turn this thing into something that could be, in my mind, I have a vision of this that probably not going to share now, but, just for a number of reasons. But,
right.
I see this as more of a 5-year plan as opposed to just, hey, we nailed one tournament. Let's not rest on our laurels like perhaps we've been guilty of in recent years, and really try to expand this tournament into something special.
Yeah, it's just going to be key, sort of finding that soft spot in the schedule, perhaps before Vegas. But the word of mouth, I'm sure, is going to get out from those visiting teams that came into town this past weekend, and I'm sure had a blast. I heard some stories. The first game I refereed was the Cobra Time guys. They had some great stories of their night before, and I'm sure a lot of the social boys had fun down here in South Florida. And will continue to do so in the next upcoming years. Well, Nick, congratulations on an awesome tournament. Charlie was going to give rankings. He likes to rank tournaments. And for those that don't know, the Uruguayans and the Argentinians like to drink this herbal tea that tastes like puddle water called mate. And Charlie we were going to give it how many? He's drinking it now, I'm sure. We were going to give it 4 out of 5 mates for this tournament. It was an awesome day. I think everybody had a blast. There was a slight blemish with a bit of a brawl in the plate final. Hopefully, I'm hearing that both of those two teams are going to take care of things internally, which I think is probably the right way. But tens is fun. I reffed the final, and I had a blast refereeing tens all day. It was the first time I've reffed it, I think, because we used to have the Sarasota tens down here. That was a number of years ago before I started reffing, but this was my first time reffing tens, and it's a nice little combination between the two.
And the turkey
15s
tens.
and sevens. What was the turkey tens? I forgot about those, Charlie. Yeah.
Come on,
but no, hopefully this tournament continues to be a success and get back to how it used to be back in the 90s, no matter what the format. Thanks, Nick, for joining us. Appreciate it. And hopefully we can get Fort Lauderdale back in the swing of things as well.
That's the idea, buddy. That's the idea. Hey, and thank you to you both again, and congratulations on the podcast. You do wonderful things for rugby in this state, and listen, it's not unappreciated, so thank you.
Oh, cheers, Nick. We're just having fun, and we can't do it without you guys joining us, so I appreciate you taking the time out this evening.
See you, buddy.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Charlie. Bye.
Cheers, Nick. All right. That was Nick Vickers, who ran the Fort Lauderdale Ruggerfest tournament this past weekend. A great success at Mills Pond there on Saturday afternoon and morning. Started at 9 a.m. and all the way. I think the final started at 6:15. So, amazing day of rugby. The old boys got a game in. I saw some great rugby and some serious talent. And speaking of serious talent, the winning team in the overall bracket was Optimus. Optimus won. The Optimus did play two teams in this event. Now, it's a good thing I didn't see the Optimus roster before this tournament, because this is a pretty serious roster. I didn't see it till afterwards, and I would have certainly have picked them to win it if I did. I may have been scared of reffing this team, the amount of talent on it. But let's bring on Marcos Satavu and Mark Diaz from Optimus. Gentlemen, how are we doing this evening?
Doing well. Thanks for having us.
Hi.
Thanks for joining us. Marcus, you and I had a chat earlier today, a little bit about your rugby history. Former USA Sevens player, former Rooney player in MLR, long rugby history all over the country, as well as half Fijian. You mentioned you grew up in Oregon, California, etc. A long time playing rugby. But anyway, let's get to this tournament. First of all, how did this team come together for this event?
Well, I mean, Mark first had heard news of it, and he was really interested in bringing the Optimus team down to Florida to compete. And he was asking me if I had any guys, and I said, "Well, look what I'm trying to create over here up in Connecticut. I'm trying to create a professional rugby team here." And I was like, let me see if there's some things that I could do to make it happen. And sure enough, Mark Shurazek did a good job of convincing me to come down, and we went full on with bringing up as many guys as we could and giving guys just opportunities to come and play.
Yeah, and play you did and dominate. I think the closest game I think you guys had was against the Tridents, who, local guys that sort of put together not a motley team, but I saw a ragtag bunch out there for the Tridents. That they gave you a good run in that group stage, didn't they?
Yeah, I did. We got a little bit chippy with each other, but it was awesome. It was great because we were competitors out there, and we were excited to see another opportunity with them in the quarterfinals, and then that was just as good as a game as well.
Some amazing talent out there. Going down the roster here, the MVP of the tournament. There's Charlie with the roster here as a graphic. I mean, you can see some of the talent on this team. It's quite evident from looking at this graphic. I know the MVP was, I think, Manate Akwe from Kenya. He played 15s and 7s from them. We'll talk about your harpooners here in a minute, but going down the list, who are some of the other standout guys for you, Marcus, this past weekend?
Well, I was really impressed with Aiden Smith, who just got accepted to go to Kutztown University to play rugby down there. He's also represented Atlantis. This kid's 18 years old. I was very nervous for the young guys to go out there and play in a men's tournament, and he always speaks highly of himself. He's like, "I got it, I can do it. Just trust me." And it was because it's just being there in his life, and I got him and his younger brother, who I can't wait for the world to meet as well. But Mark gave me some reassurance. He's like, "Let him have a go," and this guy really impressed me. I knew he would, but he went above and beyond. So that's another guy I think that we would want to take a look out at. Of course, another guy that also helped Manate to win that man of the match or the MVP is Eric Naposki. Plays at UCLA Rugby. He's played for Jesters. He's been in the USA Sevens camps in the player pool there, and he's just another impressive guy that was just killing it with the restarts and allowing for Manate to get that ball and allow for us to be on the front foot the whole entire game.
Yeah, no, Eric was seriously impressive. I asked him who he played for. He had his UCLA shorts on. He said he played for UCLA. He was one that really stood out in my eyes. I AR'd your semi and then obviously ref the final. I think I did okay. I tried to keep up as much as I could. There's some serious speed on that team. Mikey Diaz, talk to us about your role with this squad. Did we lose Diaz?
Oh, he's back on here. Here we go.
The wheel is spinning. Well, anyway, while we wait for Marky to... Oh, there's Marky. Can you hear me, Marky?
Yes, sir. How are you?
Tell us your role with this squad.
My role of the team. As I'm getting up in age, I feel like I'm being more the team dad.
Right.
I got a bunch of... It's awesome, though. These guys, they're an amazing group of people. I was given the opportunity to try to play rugby at a little bit higher level. Coming from Panama City Beach, we're a D3 team. We take care of each other. And I got a bad knee injury at one time and fell a little bit out of shape. And Marcus, being a good friend of mine, he's pretty tough on me, but he gave me the opportunity to try to play rugby at a higher level. And I met with Ronald Mundy out of Atlanta, and he gave me a shot. He pretty much said, "Hey, look, I'll help you get back into shape and try to play at the level and also help with the team." And so not only am I playing, but I'm also helping coach and learn the game of rugby. So these younger guys are actually teaching me how to be a better coach, how to be a better player. So, I'm kind of all around wherever they need me to do, help out and help manage, help coach, and help play when I can.
Good stuff. Well, congratulations on the win. We're looking at the highlights now. There's a fat guy with a whistle and a purple shirt, but don't pay attention to him. Pay attention to some of these. Who's that scoring the try there, number 9? Was that Aiden Smith?
That's Aiden Smith there.
Aiden Smith. Aiden Smith, like I said, this is his time. Being a young guy to play at that level, he really stepped up. He's fearless. The kid is really fearless. He'll come out there and he does his thing. So, it was amazing to see him really rise at that age to play at that level and he was fearless. He went in there and he handled business.
I have nothing but good to say to every member that was on this team. As you saw there, carrying up the field, Aiden setting up Anthony Cimino to Eric Lebowski right there. Anthony Cimino is another kid who's grew up playing high school rugby out of Xavier High School in New York City, and he went on to represent Sacred Heart University and move on to Connecticut Selects team, and he's found his way onto the Harpooners. And as you heard, we kind of did a collaboration here where we worked together to roster these guys.
Oh, let's talk about, while we're talking about the Harpooners, some people may know about the Harpooners. A lot of people may not know about them. Marcus, what can you explain the Harpooners to us and what you're trying to do with this program?
So, I've been involved with rugby my whole entire life, and I've always wanted to bring high-level rugby to the world. And I've been so thrilled to see how we had the MLR here grow and develop here in America, and it's kind of compelled me to have a new dream and goal in life of starting an MLR team here in Connecticut. That's like the ultimate goal for the Harpooners is becoming a professional rugby team. We are working with the city of Hartford to bring another professional team to the city. They are very interested and on board with making that happen as well. We already have professional soccer with the Hartford Athletic, and so they're playing out of Dillon Stadium, and so I've been working and talking with them, and we're basically going to be using Dillon Stadium as our home stadium right now, and we're very interested in bringing another professional team to play in their stadium, and so they thought that rugby was the perfect fit. So that was pretty amazing. And so if you're meeting us at where we're at currently, we're just a high performance academy team, providing opportunities and pathways for players to get their name out there and have an opportunity to make the MLR or the national team, whether it's the USA or their respective national teams where they may be from of origin. That's pretty much it at the end of the day. Is like I've traveled around the world. I've been on high-level teams. I've been around great coaches, and I love to absorb a lot of all this information. And I simply love to give this knowledge back for free. Always giving my time and energy towards the sport I love the most, for sure. Because I know one thing's for certain is I know we all struggle and have rough lives and histories, but rugby and the rugby community has always held me accountable and helped me to be a better man. And I'm forever really truly grateful for that. And it's exciting because now I'm giving back opportunities, and it's grateful. I'm just grateful to have good friends like Mark Diaz and the guys that you see on the team there, in the big pin there. I felt on top of the world there in that moment when I was getting doused in water, because it was a lot of work that goes into as you know, doing anything like this. So I feel really good. And one thing I think these guys loved is they try to lead by example.
Yeah, no, it was a great performance throughout the tournament by Optimus. No nonsense, as we said. Marky, we intending on coming back next year to Fort Lauderdale, perhaps?
Yes, sir. A huge shout out to Nick. He was very patient with me. Like I said, when you get a group of young guys, everybody's ready to go, but then, they do everything at their own pace last minute. It's actually really, sometimes it can be a real pain in the butt, but like I said, dealing with those younger guys, Nick is trying to communicate and get everything as professional as possible. And, here I am last minute with everything, and he was super patient. So yeah, Nick was awesome. And we definitely want to come back next year.
Great stuff. Well, listen, boys, I appreciate you taking the time to join us tonight. Those of you, I know Marcus said that Marcus is back up in Connecticut, but I know some of the boys were still taking the time to travel back up, enjoying the South Florida weather for a couple more days. So I hope everybody travels back up north safely. And it was an amazing performance by the guys on Saturday. I know everybody there was impressed by the level of rugby that you guys brought down, and it was a pleasure for us to witness.
Yeah, thanks for having us. I truly enjoyed it. Thank you, Florida.
We'll be keeping an eye on the Harpooners as they go on with their rugby life, and we appreciate you guys bringing elite rugby to the Connecticut area, and hopefully we'll get an MLR team down here soon, and perhaps an academy as well that will give the extra opportunity for those locals down here as well. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Have a great night.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
Well,
Okay.
Charlie, two guys that obviously have their heart in the right place there with the rugby. They came down here and dominated on Saturday. Everybody, I didn't get a chance to ref them in the group stage, but everybody I talked to said you got to watch out for this Optimus side. They got some serious players, and looking at that roster, there's no doubt about it.
You were really impressed with that roster, huh? You made me do that piece. This one.
All right. I'm having terrible audio issues, Charlie. Everybody sounds like they're choppy, and I'm hearing like every other word, but it is what it is. We shall solve.
It must be you then.
It's probably I'm in my bedroom, but I'm not that far away from the router. Anyway, let's move on to the other games this week. I don't know if you have our score. We'll get to our scores from the other games a little later, but let's get to Wellington and Okapi, which is always a big U19 rivalry here in South Florida. Was one of the most hotly contested matchups when we see the calendar for the U19s. And we're going to let's bring on our Okapi guys first from this matchup. Gavin McLeavy.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Oh, I can hear you okay.
Hi,
I'm having
guys.
terrible audio issues tonight, but it is what it is. And joining us is Mick, another Mick. We all had we had one Mick sponsor us. Now we're going to have another Mick on, as well as Pierce Griffin, another player for Okapi, which we'll get to the young gentleman. We always like to hear from the young guys. But let's get to Gavin McLeavy first. I won't call you what Charlie called you on our rundown.
Charlie's got many names for me, mate. Many names.
It involves an F word, but we all love Gavin, a former rugby league guy. I won't hold that against him. Traveled around, played rugby union all over the place, and then moved. When did you move here, Gav?
I think I got here 2007-ish, something like that, 2007, 2008. And then, got dragged into the whole Florida rugby thing, and obviously loving life ever since.
Now, how did Okapi Wanderers start? I don't think I've ever heard the story of how Okapi Wanderers started.
Let me think. Oof, that's a good one. So I dragged my kids up to Western and met a guy, Javier Garcia, and he asked me to get involved with Western at that time, a couple of years before they kind of folded. I helped him set up the Pines team, West Pines, and we did about a year there. And then Mr. Gallo, very infamous Mr. Gallo, dragged me back to Western and said, listen, I want you to coach these kids and set up the team there. So back there, I think it was like 5 or 6 years ago now. We've been going for 5, 6 years, maybe 7. I can't remember. But yeah, so we basically got together. We banged on the town hall door and made the mayor like us. And once we got the mayor on board, once we got him on board, we were golden. We started getting a little bit of field space, and then pushed out some of the American football teams and bullied the baseball guys, and eventually we got some space. And ever since they can't remove us anymore. Right,
and obviously one of the bigger clubs. I think remember, I don't know, club size and player size. You're probably one of the bigger clubs on the Eastern Seaboard, right?
Yeah, at one point I remember they were doing USA Rugby were doing statistics, and we were the fastest growing club at one point. One guy that I spoke to seemed to think we were the biggest club in the USA, but I don't think that's the truth. But certainly the biggest club in Florida, and definitely in the southeast. From what I could figure out, yeah, it's been going well. This year was a little bit unusual, obviously with COVID stuff. The numbers dropped a little bit, but for the most part, all the kids that were with us in previous years kind of came back. We just haven't seen that normal growth. Maybe we grow, I don't know, 10%, for example, every year. That this year we really haven't seen that normal growth. We've kind of stagnated, but obvious reasons.
Yeah, we did have an Okapi episode back in the fall. So those of you that want to access the on-demand stuff, it's on the YouTube channel. You can access it there or via Facebook. YouTube's probably a little easier. How many kids do you have at the moment, and how many of you had sort of max, Gav?
I think at one point we ended up at 250. Well, that was including the men's team and maybe the old boys as well. We're a little bit below that. I think we're just shy of 200 at the moment. But again, I think next year it'll start to bounce back up again. We haven't gotten any additional field space. We've only got the one field that we get Tuesday through Friday night, and then we've even brought in like a hockey club now.
Right.
So we have field hockey sort of for the siblings. A lot of the boys obviously have sisters that maybe want to play hockey, but my push is to start thinking about getting female rugby going within the club as well. So then, we can obviously integrate the whole thing together. And some people play field hockey and some people play rugby. So that's kind of maybe the next step for us. A long time coming, but I had to sort of convince a few of the board of directors that's the next stage of what we're going to do as a rugby club and continue to grow that way. And there's a lot of rumors about an MLR team coming into town. We've hosted a couple of investment groups that have come to us and sort of asked for our opinion on stuff, and they've looked around the city of Western. We've introduced them to the city managers and had meetings on that level, and they like the idea of it, at least using us as a training facility and some kind of an academy system, and that might tie in quite nicely at some point in the future. But we're working quite closely with the Atlanta team as well, and that's kind of connected in with the Jaguares. So that's obviously more of a Florida global piece of the puzzle. So it's kind of, there's a lot of stuff in the pipeline. So it'll be interesting to see how it all pans out over the next couple of years. But I'm pretty excited about it, and I'm not going anywhere. So I'm going to see it all the way through to wherever it ends up. It's pretty exciting times. Good
stuff. I know you lost your partner, Matt Hayden, but things have been continuing to go, as you said. Now, what about a girls' team? When are we going to get a girls' team in Okapi?
Yeah, that's something that we really need to get going. And a lot of the team moms are kind of on board as well, even if it's just for fun to begin with. We do these sort of annual things where the parents get involved and play a bit of touch rugby. And when that happens, the team moms kind of get involved and get pretty excited about playing a bit of touch rugby. So I think from that we can definitely start to push towards it. I get really happy when I see, for example, this last weekend when we went to Wellington to play, and in the younger age groups, I think like the under 12s, if I'm not mistaken, and maybe even the under 10s, there was a lot of girls in those teams playing against us. And so some of the parents are a little bit negative towards it, but in general, it's something that I think everyone's coming around to the idea of it, and it's definitely the next step as a club that we want to get into and let that flourish, because at the end of the day, girls going into university, that's a big thing with the NCAA. And on the men's side, obviously it's run by USA Rugby, so it's already an established NCAA sport on the women's side. So really, that's where it's going to grow, similar to soccer 20 years ago, right? That's how women in the USA now is very, very strong, because it's open to the NCAA sort of get on board and ran with it. So now these scholarships have all opened up. So it's a huge thing. I think women's rugby is going to help us grow the game of rugby in this country. That's going to be, I think, the pathway for us to develop the whole rugby growth in this country.
100%. Now let's talk about the U19s team this season. How are we looking so far?
Not bad. A little bit of a smaller team than we've normally had in past years. So we're a little bit nervous coming in, but the lads have actually beginning to step up and just maturing really well as a squad. They've stopped trying to beat these guys by tackling high. Sticking the shoulder in the chest of a guy that's 100 pounds heavier than them just doesn't work, does it? So a lot of the lads, a couple of years ago, they were, a lot of this sort of hand to try and tackle. Now they're really getting low and chopping them down. So I'm really happy with that. And we've become a lot more mature, I think, as a team. The lads are playing to a more sophisticated game plan that we've tried to introduce, and we try and push that game plan down to all of the different age groups. Obviously not the most complex stuff with the younger guys, but the guys have become really mature with the way that they play, the way that they process the information as the game is being played, and starting to make their decisions. I tend not to give too much direction now during games because these guys know what I'm expecting of them. And it's very much, let's fix it in training, let's fix it at halftime, and then we go again. So that's, for me, that's been the highlight of watching the guys in the first couple of games. They lost one against Jacksonville. We travelled up there and got our asses handed to us. Then Cape came to us, and the guys, just composed themselves. Really rough game against Cape, and the guys were super composed, just very mature, played intelligently, frustrated Cape, and ultimately, it was a good win there. And then this weekend we played against Wellington, and I want to sort of point out Wellington, for me, over the last couple of years, have always been it's always been a bit of a battle physically. Oh yes, it's always a few cards end up getting handed out and stuff. This game this weekend for me showed Wellington that they've really developed as a club, and they've kind of always been like a year or two behind us in their development. And you can see now that they're maturing also as a team, and it's becoming very competitive. I don't know what the score was this weekend. I think it was maybe 29, 20 something. It was close.
It was a close one, yeah.
Yeah, we were always leading, but we were never really confident. You know what I mean? So it was nice to see that they are also developing in the same way that I feel we are in terms of the maturity and the rugby IQ. It's really come out. They were very focused. They obviously had a game plan. And they used it to the full effect. They just fell a little short. I think one of the guys that's in this picture right now was maybe the difference in terms of getting his kicks pretty much spot on for that day, and that was the difference at the end of it. We just got a few more points on the board, kicking over the sticks.
Nice little fend off there. I'm not going to call it a stiff arm. That would be wrong. But some good highlights here from that game. Dana Mischisi refereeing that one for us, helping out. We're a little short of refs down here this weekend due to Ruggerfest, so that was great to see her helping out down from Queen's College. Queen's College, we'll talk about with one of our seniors coming up here once we get to the end of these highlights. Nice little run down the line there by a Wellington player.
Yeah, that was right towards the end of the game. It was making me a little bit nervous, to be honest. We were comfortably ahead, and that try, thankfully, was the end signal, the end of the game, if I remember rightly. So we ended up getting away with it, and they didn't get another chance to score, because if they did, I think there was only maybe a 5-point difference, so it would have been extremely tight if the referee restarted the game.
Yeah, with Jacksonville losing to Boca this week, Boca I know lost to Key Biscayne. It seems like it's a very competitive U19s division this season. Perhaps Key Biscayne, I think the team to beat at the moment. I'm not sure how Orlando are doing at the moment, but it's gonna. I think everybody makes the playoffs this year. I forgot to check the whole playoff setup before this episode, but maybe Gavin can fill us in on the playoff setup.
No, mate, I coach very simply. I just take the game that I'm being told that I've got to coach. I play that game, and then I go home and have a beer. That's about my limit. I don't think too much about the next week until it's there. And Friday night, I'm like, okay, who are we playing? Who's on my team? All right, let's go and see if we can win that. I genuinely have no clue on the structures of the league, or I just turn up and coach and enjoy it because I've got a good set of kids, and I kind of just I try not to stress myself too much about winning and losing. I just know that if the guys do a good job, then 9 times out of 10 we'll win. So That's the way I kind of approach it on a coaching basis. Everyone's always asking me, who do we play next, or how many points do we have to get to win? And I don't know. I'm just going to show up. We'll play really well, and I'll coach how to play and adjust if we're not doing well. That's kind of how I look at it. And I know the guys get frustrated about it, but I enjoy doing this. So
yeah, one game at a time, as the cliche says. I'll come back to you with your ASM. They're not a sponsor of our podcast yet, but we will talk a little bit about Gavin's work with ASM. But let's get to our two players here, Mick Costa and Pierce Griffin. We'll start with Pierce. Pierce, you sent me a little bit of your rugby history, but how's the accent? I assume you've lost your accent by now, but give me a bit of your background.
It's gone now anyway. Well, I first started rugby back home in Ireland when I was around, I'd say 7 or 8. I hear it. I still hear it. In Ennis, yeah. And we moved over here, I'd say 8-9 years ago, my dad's job. So when I first moved here, we actually started, as Gavin was saying, with that Weston club. And I actually played around 2 years with a load of kids that I've now moved on. But from there, once that ended, I ended up not playing rugby for around a year and a half, 2 years. And then our copy started back up, and I just couldn't wait to get back into it. Ever since then.
Are you a Munster fan?
Pardon?
I said you're a Munster fan?
Yeah, I'm a huge Munster fan.
Okay. Now, what year were you born?
I was born 2002.
Okay, so you were only 2 back in 2004. Your dad can probably tell you about this when Wasp scored 2 late tries to defeat Munster in the 2004 European Cup semi-finals. Went on to win the whole thing. I won't bring that up anymore, but I just wanted to mention, being a Wasps fan, that's one of the best Wasps matches in the history of their program. But listen, you're playing some serious rugby now. Tell us some about some of your representative stuff you've been playing and where you're going to go play college ball.
Yeah, so I've played for the Florida Juice a year and a half ago for the Florida Dragons, and I played with the USA South in multiple tournaments like sevens in Vegas and Lake City. And then next year, I've fully committed to Queen's University in Charlotte, so I'm just looking forward to getting up there and getting started.
Yeah, Queens definitely making their presence felt down here, both on the men's and the women's side, recruiting a lot of quality talent out of South Florida. Piers, what position do you play?
I play fly half, number 10.
Okay, and you're looking to continue to play there at the college level?
Yeah, fly half, fullback, anything along the back line, I'm perfectly fine with.
So talk a little bit about, before I get to Mick, talk a little bit about this U19's team, the U19's team this year, and how you've progressed, and obviously a big win on Saturday.
Yeah, I'm very confident in this team. Obviously, we're apparently smaller this year than last year, but I'm not worried about that. We all get low, tackle, do our job. And I think the structure is coming together now that the year's coming by. I think the first 2 weeks were probably a little bit shaky on it, but now that we have the structure down, I think we're good to go for the rest of the year and for the playoffs.
Charlie, post Kenny's comment there. He does have the right hairstyle for a fly half. He does have a little bit of a resemblance to a young Owen Farrell. Hopefully, you don't tackle like him, Pierce, because he needs to learn how to tackle. Let's get to your teammate here sitting next to you. Does he live with you, or is he just hanging out with you right now?
No, just hanging out. Watch a bit of film before our game this weekend. So
there you go. Mick, tell us a bit about yourself, Mick.
I started playing my freshman year in high school. I'm a senior now. I started playing with St. Thomas Aquinas originally. Turned into Rucket. Disbanded after that, but I moved over to Okapi my sophomore year, and been playing with them, practicing with them, taking my game to the highest level I can, and it's all been up from there.
So coming from a different background than Pierce, who's obviously playing a lot younger than you, how did you get into rugby in the first place back as a freshman?
This guy right here.
Oh, okay, so you've been friends for a while.
Yeah. I think we started being friends like what was it, 8th grade freshman year.
So I got him into it early.
There you go. What position do you play, Mick?
It's a tough question. You ask Gavin, he might.
Utility. Wherever Coach Gavin tells you to play is the answer.
Yeah, pretty much. Primarily, I think of myself as a scrum half, but Gavin likes to throw me around at 8, 7, and 6. But I go where I'm told.
Well, that tells you where your talent is. Clearly around the ball and ball carrying. There's no doubt about it. Talk a little about how you've kept playing rugby for 4 years. So something about this game that you enjoyed. Did you play any other sports, and what really kept you playing rugby over these 4 years, other than Pierce?
Well, I started out playing baseball pretty much my whole life until high school. Threw my elbow out and switched over to rugby, but there's nothing to compare to the community in rugby, to be honest with you. Like
100%.
Never would have thought about having meals with the opposing team after a game of any other sport. It's family. You know, I was watching a video of our team from last year, and it's bittersweet because you miss those guys and you want to get back out there with them, but you got a team that you love just as much when you're playing every year. So do what you can.
Good stuff. And where are you looking to forward your rugby career?
I'm going to be playing with the University of Georgia next year.
Oh, awesome! The Dogs. How is their rugby program? I know it's not, you know, it's not in the elite level, but playing 1AA, I assume, and playing in the SEC.
We have a new coach heading up, really taking our recruiting class to the next level. We haven't had anything like this, so look out for us these next couple years. We're going to be looking to take it to some championships and hopefully end up in Division 1A by the end of my 4 years.
There's Pierce kicking. You're a lefty, Pierce. I see.
Yes, sir.
Little Johnny Wilkinson action. I like it. Well, good stuff, boys. Let's bring Gavin back in. Gavin, tell us a little bit about your shirt. I mean, you're obviously clearly here to promote ASM a little bit with your background and your shirt, and I'm going to allow you to do that within reason. If you go too far, Charlie will blur you out. So, considering you're a non-paying sponsor, I'm going to give you a little bit here to pimp your program that is ASM. Tell us a little bit about it.
No, yeah, real briefly. Just basically, it's a sports management company. So I'm a licensed agent, so I have a couple of pro players. But I got brought into this company because of Okapi, really. Someone found me, a guy called Chris Vidal, who's the CEO. He brought me in because he realized that I had a lot of contact with rugby in this part of the world, and he wanted to develop that in the organization. So now I'm actually a partner in the company, and I'm the global scout director. So what we do is help kids get from high school to university on sports scholarships. I obviously focus on rugby, but we do it for pretty much every sport that's played in the universities here in the. You know, we got about 700 kids placed in university last year.
Wow.
And that continues to grow. I think we've got close to 300 employees now around the world. So scouts and consultants and different managers and directors of the organization. One of my partners is Ernie Els, the golfer. Sir Nick Faldo as well works with us. Brian Habana is an ambassador with us, and Alex Corbachero that we obviously all know here in the US. So that's the kind of category of people that we work with, and they help promote what we do, and the idea is just to help kids get into university, and in any way that they can, we'll help them and get through their SATs and all that kind of stuff. So it's a lot of fun. I enjoy doing it. I get to talk about sports all day, so it's definitely better having a real job, right? Anything I can do to avoid having a real job.
You're preaching to the choir here, mate. Gavin's a commentator, just like I am. What percentage of kids, foreign versus US, do you guys work with?
It's probably about 90% foreigners, to be honest. Obviously, a lot of the services that we provide is sometimes it's the visa process, or preparing the SAT. American kids don't need that preparation for the SAT because they already get it through high school. So yeah, most of it tends to be the foreign kids coming in, but and for those more international sports, right? The American football kids, obviously, they can take care of themselves. The baseball kids within the country, but soccer, rugby, field hockey, even basketball to a certain extent, and definitely baseball, just because that's more international. But yeah, it's a fair amount of foreigners, but there is obviously a lot of services. It's more connecting the kids to the coaches more than anything else.
And what can you tell us about these two boys here before you go? And I expect to check in the mail from ASM tomorrow.
Yeah, it's coming. Don't worry, mate. No, these two actually. Pierce, obviously, I've been coaching from when he was very young. He was a very skinny little lad back then, and he's kind of finally beginning to fill out. I think his mum and dad started feeding him properly, and he's really a very intelligent fly half. Just good game IQ, reads the game well, kicks well. Mick, on the other hand, I've got Mick as an athlete. He's an athlete, and he thinks he's a scrum half. So I love scrum half because that's.
There's plenty of those out there. We've all played with one of them.
Well, the problem we have in our club is we've got like literally 3 or 4 scrum halves at this age group. So I'm really struggling to. I have a really good problem in the club at the moment is just selecting the players. And Mick, I know is a smart. So always put him in place pretty quick, and he'll pick up the game wherever I put him. But obviously, having that intelligence and that athletic ability is detriment to what he wants. Because at the end of the day, I get to choose. So it's a lot of fun. Good kids, smart kids. They turn up and they help out the young ones. So on their nights that they're not training, they come in and actually help the youth as well. So the under 14s, under 12s. So big thanks to these lads that they're stepping up and doing that. And there's a few others that do it as well. So thank you to all those lads at the high school team that are looking after the little ones as well. Good lads.
Yeah, a big thanks to you too, Gavin.
Cheers, mate.
He's a good man for a dirty northerner. He is. All right, boys.
Gavin. I'm pretty sure that Mariano's going to call me right after the show is over because you probably screwed something up, with the data. If everything is not perfect, he's calling me and said, it wasn't 4 years ago, it was 5, and all this kind of thing.
Detail-oriented is that, man.
It's coming.
Yes. Well, thanks, gents. Good luck the rest of the way.
Thanks a lot. Thanks very much, guys, for what you're doing. I loving the podcast and the show in general, and your ugly mugs are much appreciated.
And I just want to give a little message for the kicker. You made a conversion from your pretty much like almost 50 meters on that game, which is something that you just do not see around here. So congratulations. I'm pretty sure you practice because you can't do that if you don't practice. So keep practicing. Keep practicing.
Yes.
Thank you.
Charlie's a big fan of kicking the ball in all aspects. But nice pickup for Georgia there and as well for Queen's College. Thanks, boys. Good luck the rest of the way, as I said.
And before Gavin goes, here, that's for you.
Thank you, Charlie.
Okay, take care, man.
I haven't given him a red yet. I've been tempted to give some of his parents reds though over the years, but I haven't managed to do that either. But thanks, guys.
Cheers.
See you around. Good luck.
See you in another episode soon. All right.
Okay.
We're an hour and 10 minutes through, but we've still got lots to go here, Charlie.
Yes, let's move on because,
Let's move on. Jacksonville played the defending state champions in the U19s level, hosted Boca this week, and Boca came away with a bit of a surprise victory. Boca struggled against Key Biscayne a couple of weeks ago and then defeated Wellington at home, but took the 5-hour trip up to Jax and took away a 20-point victory. But we will talk to the losing coach, who obviously defending state champion still for the time being, Aaron Church.
Let's bring him in. Hi, Aaron.
Let's bring Aaron in there. Aaron, how are we doing this evening?
I'm doing fine, doing good.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
Thank you for the patience.
Yeah, first of all, congratulations on the state championship last year. Jacksonville, a relatively new team, right?
Yeah. This is our 5th year as an organization for the Wolverines anyway. So we're still kind of new in that state championship team. Pretty much after that year, all of them graduated.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Starting team and the subs. We started from scratch all over again in 2020, then COVID hit. So it's just like, oh man, okay, now we're starting from scratch again. So.
Yeah, man, last year was a rough one. Thanks for sending us your rugby resume, Aaron, with an extensive rugby resume. We started playing down in Key West with the Conch Republic down there. Then went to Arkansas State University, 3 years started there, played some inside center, then was their assistant coach for a while. How did you end up back in Florida?
After I went to Germany, and then I still work for the government. So then I got a job offer here back in Florida. So I was like,
okay,
come back.
And the weather, of course, right?
Oh yeah. Well, Germany weather wasn't too bad. I started to get used to the snow.
Yeah, you had some serious experience in Germany with Ramstein, with Frankfurt, and then Kaiserslautern, obviously known a little more for their soccer team. But how was the whole German experience? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, it was definitely, I didn't really, when I went there, I didn't think that rugby was going to be as big. I mean, known for soccer more. But the rugby up there is definitely at a different level that I expected. The players are definitely bigger than I expected. But they have a lot of presence there in their rugby. So there's a lot of Brits that play there as well. So I got a lot of more experience, elevated my game a lot more, a faster pace game there than I was used to. So I really enjoyed my time there, really.
So then you came back here, and how did you get involved with the U19s and Jacks?
Well, I came when I came through. I started playing with the Jack's Men's Club for a little bit, and I wanted to get back into coaching. Kind of enjoyed that. Got a little more taste when I was in Germany to coaching men's, but I had previously had a stint coaching high school with Trent Vesely in Daytona before I left to Germany. And I asked him if they were going to have another club. And he's like, oh, well, you're up in Jacksonville. Kevin Watkin's starting a program there. Go talk to him. And I remember playing with Kevin a couple games in Daytona, the sevens matches when Perry Baker was there and stuff. So I reached out to Kevin. It's like, hey, you remember me? He's like, yeah, why don't you come over? So came over, started coaching with him that first season. And then he took another teaching job in Hilliard and was like, the program's yours.
There you go.
I was literally on a plane when he sent me that message that the program's mine. And by the time I landed, everybody was like, oh, I heard you're taking over the program. I was like, I didn't even know. I didn't get a confirmation yet. But okay, I'll do it. I'll step in there.
Well, let's fast forward to 2019. Obviously, we didn't finish the season last year, so there's defending state champ still from 2019. Talk about how that team came about, and did you know you had a chance of potentially being as great as you were that year?
Honestly, it was we went in 2018. We went to the state semifinals and played Cardinal, and when we lost that match, we still had 90% of that team returning, and we were a bit more confident because we felt that we should have played better. If we weren't as intimidated, and that was those kids' first time ever being at that level, playing and that kind of platform. So we went into 2019 very confident, with a good attrition of coming back, players that are coming back. They had a few years experience coming through. And then we were kind of blessed by the rugby gods with a great fly half, Nathan Schooling. He's now at University of Colorado, but he had played rugby his whole life. He's one of our biggest kids, and literally when we played that, he was 16. Oh, wow. 2018, and still bigger than all our other kids, but great rugby IQ, and he was a good leader on that team. So, you know, we took one game. We're kind of like Gavin does, like you take one game 1 week at a time. Looking at the schedule, it was a good progression. Each game we're looking to develop more and more. We knew competition was going to keep getting tougher and tougher. And as I saw the team kind of blossom, I know the confidence level got up. The rugby experience, rugby IQ got up. And pretty much midway through the season, we knew we were going to make a good run for our state.
Now, let's talk about Jacksonville as some of the recruiting challenges perhaps up there. Obviously, you know, football in Florida is king. It's sort of part of it is convincing those high school football coaches that rugby is a good thing for their football players. But talk about some of the challenges you faced as the Jacksonville coach.
Definitely the size of Jacksonville. I mean, it's still
big. Yes.
Yeah, it's crazy big. We get some schools where the kids are driving 45 to an hour just to get to practice, and the coaches have to go pick the kids up to make sure because they don't have transportation. And we get kids from all over Jacksonville, even though we have a good selection of schools. There's like 60 plus schools in our county. So recruiting, I have to literally like take off my lunch break. I'm going to this school. Take off lunch break. I'm going to that school. And we offer like rugby tackling clinics to football teams just to get on their good side. So they'll let us actually talk to their players after the clinic.
Right.
So that's how, do a little trade-off to get, and my goal usually is to get 2 kids per school. And if I get 1, I'm happy. And every now and then I hit a gold mine of getting 5. And it might be from that one school, and then we branch out a little bit more. But it's more or less the area size, getting them all there, and trying to convince football coaches that we're not stealing their kids.
Well, you are lucky that the 2 seasons don't run concurrent to each other. Obviously, football in the fall and rugby into winter. And I'm sure once these football coaches see how you can help them, especially on the tackling side of things, as you said, and obviously winning a state championship helps the recruiting as well, I assume.
Oh yeah. Actually, probably one of the kids you'll probably talk to today, Mac Taylor. He told me like, yeah, I heard you guys won. I'm moving down. Um, and we've got a couple kids that moved from different states to come play for us. So we've definitely, kind of reaped the benefits of winning a state championship.
There's some highlights of this past weekend's game against Boca. Before we get to talk to Mac, talk a little bit about this game, Aaron. I know Boca brings some size, I know, which can be a trouble for some teams. But yeah, to give us a little sort of recap of that game on Saturday. I know
leading up to that game, a lot of our players looked at the Boca Key Biscayne game, and they really were kind of underestimating Boca's potential and their size. Yeah, of course, you don't know how big anybody is on film, but we had a really bad week of practices and not focusing. They got complacent after the Tampa game, because Tampa's a really big side, really good side as well. So we weren't as focused as we should have been leading up to this Boca game. And Boca has a really great squad, and those guys have a lot of experience, played together, and some really good talent, really good size. And they came out really firing, ready to win, and we didn't execute our game plan how we needed to.
Well, I hope the boys learn from the defeat. Yeah, Boca's got some serious numbers. Well, let's bring in the aforementioned Mac Taylor.
Okay. I'm gonna share my phone. Here you go.
That works. Mac, how we doing? Welcome to the show.
Good. How are you?
Tell us a little about yourself and some of your rugby and sporting history.
Yeah, well, I was always a soccer player growing up. And
Terrible sport. All right, go on.
Yeah, I got bored of soccer, and my parents were kind of like, yeah, just pick a new sport. And yeah, I guess I just picked rugby and found rugby club in New York where I used to live, and played there for a few years. And then last year, the winter of last year, I moved down here to Florida, Jacksonville, and got right in with the Wolverines. And yeah, it's been last season, this season. It's been how it's been. Really good.
What position do you play?
Fly half.
Another fly half. Someone with my heart. I grew up playing scrum half and then fly half, and then got too big and kept moving back. But still a fly half at heart. What do you love about the game of rugby? It's really kept you going here.
I don't know. It's just a lot of fun. It's like everyone I've ever met in the rugby community is like really awesome. It's like it's a brotherhood. We're all just one big family, and yeah, it's great.
So you're a senior now. So where are you? That is John Selden reffing, as Kenny Hanley pointing out in the chat there. John Selden helping out. As again, we are a little short of refs up in the Northeast area. John Selden, a longtime referee in Florida, been around forever, jumping in to help out here on the U19s thing. Yeah, talk about this team this year.
We got a really good group of guys this year. A lot of athletes, got a lot of speed.
See on that? Yeah. I think that was almost a try there. That was some serious speed on the outside there. Yeah.
Yeah. So we got power in the middle and speed on the outside. We're gonna be good. We just got to get our heads screwed on right and focused.
Yeah, well, it seems like, as mentioned earlier, a lot of these teams with one loss now, I think it seems like a popular thing to be in, how these teams sort of sorting themselves out as the season goes on. Aaron, what does Mac bring to the table for you guys?
Mac, he brings his experience. He's got a great rugby IQ. He's literally calm most of the time under pressure. I'm probably too calm. Like, gotta wake him up. Are you still alive? You good? But no, he brings that leadership that we need with our team, and definitely that rugby IQ and skill and talent. It brings the balance. Definitely another, I would say, a blessing to have him, especially at that fly half position. You definitely need that experience there.
Oh, yes.
And somebody who knows the game, can read the game, who can actually make the good passes, make the good decisions. And he's multi-talented, so if I ever go down a scrum half, he knows how to just fill in there immediately. He knows to fill in there for that first receiver if need be. Like, at any point in a game, he knows how to fill in and plug in holes with that rugby knowledge.
Yeah, watching some highlights here from the game this past weekend. Some good ball movement both sides. Matt, where are you going to continue your rugby career next year?
I'm not too sure yet. Yeah.
Good stuff. Plenty of time to figure that out. It's only February.
Yep.
It's like a beautiful day up in Jacksonville.
Yeah, I'd say we've had quite a few colleges come up this way. Definitely, ICC made a huge visit, and now Jake is over at Arkansas State, and he has.
That's right.
So he already told me in March when he gets settled in, he's going to make some calls here to pick up several players. We did Zoom calls with AIC and Anderson Brodas, and a couple of these other universities are constantly chirping at what we have. So I could see several of our kids going off to different areas.
Yeah, listen, Florida has been a sleeping giant over the years when it's come to the youth rugby, and we're now just starting to make some real noise on the national stage. I know talking to the U18 coach, Brendan Keane, he's interested in really getting to see some of the Florida kids that are out there and potentially getting them, on the USA scene. And Jacksonville producing great talent, as obviously shown by the 2019 state championship. Well, thanks, guys. Appreciate you joining us this evening. Good luck the rest of the way. Perhaps we'll see you looking to defend your title down the road.
All right. Thank you.
Good stuff there from the guys from Jacksonville. We like to cover all corners of the state, Charlie. We're making our way around. We can't fill our episodes too much, so we'll certainly get to the West Coast as well over the next few weeks. There's no doubt about it. But Jacksonville doing a great job. Aaron Church doing an amazing job up there in the northeast corner.
And my understanding is that the club as a whole, they've been developing pretty well in the past 2 years with good sponsorships and like bringing the kids, under one club structure, which is always great.
You and I talk about that all the time. When youth rugby here started, a lot of the youth programs were separate from the men's programs, but a lot of the men's programs now, you're bringing the teams under their wings. We talked about Naples previously with the Bears now coming under the Hammerheads wing, and Jacksonville really looking to build as a club. As you said, I think they brought a new scrum machine this year as a team, as a club. So that's great to see.
I was tempted to bring in Gavin, but he just won't. He just won't stop talking. So
listen, unless ASM wants to cut us a check, we're gonna have to talk to him a little bit more after the episode, maybe off the air, as well as our friend Go All Day. But we'll get to him in a minute. But let's speaking of sponsors, once again, thanks to Mick for sponsoring us for the rest of the season. It's an awesome job by Mick Graham. There's a picture of him there.
There he is.
Representing his home country of Australia. Mick Graham, again, 401kfl.com if you're interested in picking up a 401k or having your current 401k looked at. So if you have a 401k, if you want one, if you run one, the team at 401kfl has the experience to tackle your retirement needs and goals. Visit 401kfl.com to kick things off. And perhaps you'll get to talk to Mick Graham in person before we get to talk to him next week.
Maybe, yeah. Looking forward to that.
Saturdays are for rugby. Mondays are for getting your business in order, as Mick says there. Well, speaking of Saturdays, let's quick look at our scores, Charlie.
Yes.
From this past Saturday, there wasn't a ton of games. Obviously, Tallahassee was supposed to come down and play Okapi in a couple of games. Those both got canceled. There was a sparse schedule just because of Ruggerfest as well. As you can see there, Orlando men knocked off Jacksonville on the road. We got the Boca score there, 28-7 over Jacks. Okapi 29-24 over Wellington. And then the Gibbons game was obviously canceled due to a COVID situation there. Hopefully they'll be cleared to go this weekend. I think they play Okapi this weekend, right, Charlie? I think we'll get that in a minute.
Okapi. Yeah.
And then Palm Beach U23, the team formerly known as FAU, continuing their role from last season. I don't remember the last time they lost a game. They knocked off Gainesville U23, the team formerly known as the UF Gators, 55-14. Again, thanks to all the refs for sending in their scores in a timely manner to Charlie, which always helps. Keep the site as updated as we possibly can. You can also find the official scores and standings at floridarugby.org if you choose to visit that site, of course, which is your prerogative. But Charlie,
I want to apologize because every single weekend I get one score wrong, but it's nice because somebody quickly corrects me.
That means people are paying attention, Charlie, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
I forgot to mention open mic earlier. If anybody wants to join us and have a chat about whatever they want to, except for Chris Vassell, who's always around for a chat. But if you want to jump in, Charlie always posts the link won't be on Facebook today because we're having those technical issues. But if you're on YouTube, Charlie posts the link in the comments.
I'll post it right now. Yes,
he's going to post it right now, as you can see him doing it live and in person. He wants you doing it, Charlie, which is you're giving away our rundown secrets, Charlie. What are you doing anyway? So Charlie's going to get that up there. If you want to join us and have a chat in the open mic, you're more than welcome. Just remember, put your name in the little field there so we know who the hell you are. I don't want to be guessing who people are.
I wonder what happened. Oh, sorry. I didn't.
That's all right. Well, let's get to our games for next week, Charlie. Let's take a quick look at next week's schedule.
Okay.
Or this coming Saturday schedule, I should say. If a ton more games because I'm trying to get referees for all of them at the moment. We haven't quite succeeded yet, but we're working on that. Again, there's some areas of the state that are a little more ref short than other areas. They have the Miami Derby. Miami, the Bumblebees finally playing their first game of the season after having all sorts of troubles finding fields. They did play at Ruggerfest this past weekend. So good to see them out there. They'll open up their campaign against the Miami Tridents in that traditional 305 derby. And we have a West Coast derby as well with Naples hosting Crew. Another West Coast derby, Pelican, Sarasota. Charlie, you and I remember what happened in the first meeting between those two teams this year. Hopefully there's none of that nonsense in the rematch. Hopefully we focus on the rugby there. Orlando hosting Gainesville and Jacksonville hosting Brevard. That wraps up the sort of Division 2-3 men's side of things. And then on D4, SoFlo looking to, I think this would be their first home game, right, Charlie?
Yes.
They've had some issues with fields as well. I emailed Ryan Forston today. He is confident they will have a field for this Saturday. They will host Ocala and another new team this season. Naples B will host Crew B, and Orlando B will host Lakeland, and then Indian River and the Claymores will play against Daytona. On the women's side of things, Fort Miami will start their season off with a trip to Tampa. That should be an interesting one to keep an eye on. And Jacksonville will visit Indian River. On the U23 side of things, Okapi hosting Orlando and Tallahassee hosting Palm Beach under 23s or FAU, whatever you want to call them. On the U19 side of things, Jacksonville will look to get back to winning ways against Cape. Wellington will look to end their skid against Key Biscayne. That'll be a tough one there. Key Biscayne, one of the hottest teams in the state at the moment. Cardinal Gibbons, again, they had a COVID issue last week. Hopefully they're over that and out of quarantine by Saturday, but that game is a little up in the air. Naples will host Crew and another West Coast battle, and Wellington, U16s there at the bottom, will host Key Biscayne. Lots of games, Charlie. Hopefully we'll find refs for all of them. I'm working on it.
Good luck with that.
Listen, we're trying as hard as we can. I was limping around yesterday, but I'm feeling a lot better today, so hopefully I'll be able to get the whistle out on Saturday and help out in some shape or form. Do we have anybody? Again, I'm going to get a reminder here. If you want to get your highlights and your photos shown on Rugby on TFRO, feel free to upload your photos and videos. Is it rugbyfl.com/upload, as Charlie's posting there. It's a sort of a Dropbox where you can drop any photos and videos that you want to throw in. We don't care if it's a sideline view, if it's a nice professional camera up on a ladder like Charlie. We'd just love to get you guys promoted on the show. So please go ahead, upload your stuff there, and we can get you guys on the show.
I don't know what happened with CV.
Hopefully on Facebook next week. Hopefully on Facebook next week if we can figure this technical issue out.
Pretty unfortunate.
All right. We're almost done, Charlie. We're nearly there. We managed to get through this somehow in an hour and a half so far. Is CV still with us?
No, he's not, because we had to kick him out at the beginning because we had full capacity, and then I don't know if he got offended. No. This guy is unoffendable. There he is.
There he is. Chris Fassel, listen, you had such a popular response. We had such a popular response to your appearance last week. So we decided to have you on again this week. But again, you're wearing a Go All Day hat. For those that don't know, Teddy Chapman who plays for Boca, owns a company, an athletic apparel company called Go All Day. He has yet to sponsor an episode, Chris. So Charlie, we're going to make him take this hat off, or we're going to blur him out.
Maybe even a hat we could start with, or something. A couple of T-shirts, Teddy.
Yeah, we will take swag.
That one is signed by who?
Todd Clever. I just saw that. He signed that for my son when they were here playing. So look at that. Anyone, we can raffle this off, fundraiser, you name it. Oh, don't let Jordan hear me say that.
Todd Clever, former USA Eagles legend. I forget. Right. Which team is he running now? I forget.
I don't know.
He's part of management for a team like one of the MLR teams. Yeah. I think. I can't remember off the top of my head. But anyway, CV, did you go up to Jacksonville? We talked to Aaron Church earlier.
I did.
Tell us a little bit about that trip up to Jackson, that nice victory for the Buccaneers.
It was a good victory. The boys, the team themselves got together, and you want Logan. Aren't you supposed to be doing homework, boy? Get your homework done. Hey, so, yeah. Hey, Andrew, I'm trying to talk here to your husband. All right. So we went up there. It was a good trip going up.
It's not a short trip.
Well, it wasn't a short trip, but the one thing about these young men, Friday they got together and did video study of a film session of Jacksonville, and they kind of picked out what they needed to do, and they came up with a game plan with the coaches and what they prepared for all week, and they went out there and executed, and it was amazing to see what they did collectively for themselves. So it was amazing. And there's Jordan. If you guys want Jordan, he can come on in. You want him that?
Where is he?
Bring your son in.
Where is he? He's not.
Jordan, come on in. Come in your room. Come back to your room. But Ross, Charlie, you guys are doing a great job, and definitely we need to keep it growing. Keep it growing for you. He got the shirt on for you, Ross.
I can't read what it says, but again, I don't have my glasses
University
on.
of Florida Rugby.
Oh man, I did see Kenny Simmons. We had an episode about in the fall. Kenny Simmons, the longtime coach of UF, and the team's struggling a little bit right now. Jordan Vassell, how are we doing?
I'm good, guys. How are you doing?
Good. He's got that deep voice now. He's got that deep voice. When did it break? When did it break, Chris? His voice is deeper than yours.
Probably about last year.
Good stuff. Well, tell us a bit about yourself, Jordan, and your rugby background. Obviously, being the son of the former UCF and Life legend is enough, but you've become quite the rugby player yourself. So fill us in for those that don't know.
Well, I started playing rugby when I was 6 years old for Boca when the U12s first started up with Mark Pattison. Now he went on to coach Wellington.
Yeah, we'll get him on the show one day.
And I've just been playing rugby. That's all I've known, really. It's just the only sport I've been playing. So I've just been growing as a player and as a teammate from these past years, Yeah,
this is your first year playing 19s? Or did you play last year?
My second year playing 19s.
Second year playing 19s. Now, how old are you at the moment, though?
I'm 16.
You're only 16 and playing U19s. Well, that tells us a lot. What position are you playing at the moment?
I'm playing fullback.
Fullback?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Chris,
fullback.
Get your son more involved. We need to get him the ball more. Now, Jordan, tell us a little bit about some of your representative stuff that you've played. I know you've been playing representative stuff for the last few years as well.
My first year playing All-Stars was with the Juice, Florida Juice. Then I went on to play with the South for Sevens, then to Jaguares now.
So looking to play some more for the Jaguares, I assume, this off-season coming up, hopefully once COVID stuff clears up. Are you playing any other sports?
I've just finished my second year of varsity football, but that's really it. Just rugby.
Another terrible sport. We mentioned soccer earlier.
Right.
What position are you playing in football?
Outside linebacker.
Okay. That's a good enough spot. Chris, did you play football, Chris? I assume you did as a youngster.
He's not listening.
They asked you if you played football. He played football, I think.
My
year.
Senior year, my girl getting years.
What about speaking of girls? What about your daughters? Are they going to play rugby?
We're trying to get them into it, but
my Ivy. We're trying to get Ivy into it. She is fast. She beats Jordan right now.
No, she doesn't.
No, she does. I saw it. Anyway, Ivy beats Jordan, and she is so fast. I got her out playing.
Yeah, exactly.
Good job, Charlie.
Charlie's quick on the graphics today. Well, we need to explain before I get into some more stuff with the Vassals here. Charlie, we need to explain where this no thing came from, because I was deciding. Everybody always keeps asking me about Miami MLR and if they've heard any updates. We're going to have let's do it right now, Charlie. We're going to have a segment every week now. If we have an update on the Miami MLR situation. Charlie, do we have an update on the Miami MLR situation? Okay, exactly. No, well, stop asking me. I don't know anything, and there's no inside knowledge that I'm not giving up about Miami MLR. But we'll bring that back next week. Hopefully, we'll have some news next week, maybe. But anyway, Vassals. Chris, Charlie's playing with his. Chris, I want to talk a bit about Charlie and I talked a bit about rugby culture, and we obviously talked to some guys earlier in this episode that really sort of embody that rugby culture. Tell us my last question for you before we let you go tonight. Talk a little bit about the difficulties of bringing rugby culture, to kids with American football backgrounds, and how Boca seems to have done a really good job of it from what one of the times that I've refed you when it comes to discipline and sort of embracing the family part of rugby culture as well.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing for us, I can speak for Boca, and I can speak for a lot of teams here in the state of Florida, and for all the coaches and the organizers and everyone that's really involved with the parents. They've done a great job, and we've worked to do a great job by building that culture, by making sure that we have the parents know from firsthand what rugby's about, the teachers, the athletic directors, the coaches, what the culture's about and what rugby's about. And then when the kids come in here, we just make sure that we continue with that same pathway, that culture of showing, okay, have respect for your teammates, work hard for your teammates, show up on time. If you want to be the last person to leave, but make sure you do the work, but you do it individual building for a collective team, and that seems to help us get in the community. And the biggest thing is, as we talked about last time, is with football, right? We had to go in there and just really push, promote, show videos, talk to kids. And, I guess just like one of the young gentlemen said earlier, that rugby, it's just, I lost my train of thought. Someone.
No, it's as you mentioned, it's the ultimate team sport, right?
Yeah,
These kids come from football, which, to a certain extent,
No, my wife told me to shut up. She yelled, "Shut up!"
Football is a team sport, but obviously the quarterback and the running back, they can't do much without the offensive line. But in rugby, if you run off down the field on your own,
yes,
you're gonna lose the ball. It's not great. There's a 40-yard gain now. We get the ball back again. If you get a 40-yard gain in rugby, there's a good chance that the other team is going to turn the ball over if you don't have the support there. So it's the ultimate team sport, and turning these individual players into that team is a big part of bringing that rugby culture to the football kids.
That is the biggest thing. And, I got to say, our organization with Garth Duff, I mean, he does a great job and just lead kind of with that old-fashioned, sword, getting these kids being accountable for themselves and showing what the rugby ethos is. And it's just, I mean, that's what's helping us. And then it bleeds off into other programs, and they're developing the same way so they can be successful too, and it really shows.
Yeah, a big part of it is the old boys giving back that have gone through that rugby culture throughout their years, and they're bringing it to the new kids. Chris, I want to stick around for one more. Charlie's got one more video. He's going to show. I want Chris's view on this video of a brief highlight from Saturday's Ruggerfest action, featuring a gentleman that you're pretty familiar with.
Yeah. Before that, I'm just going to do a little thing here. There was somebody today on Instagram. I just want to make a dream come true. Okay.
Sure.
So, no, that was not it. Sorry. That is either. That's not it. This is the guy. So he was saying this is a player from Sofro. His name is
played this weekend at Ruggerfest. Yeah.
Claudius Pubien. I guess that's how you pronounce it. And he says, "My name not in the press, but in the hearts of my people." So that's a very nice thing. So we are going to actually put his name on the press and show him.
Shout out to. Give me his name again, Charlie, before I mangle it.
Claudius Pubien.
Called Claudius Pubien.
Yes.
Welcome to the show. Glad to show I think you're scoring a try there. Is that at Ruggerfest this weekend?
Yes.
I can't tell.
Yes, it is. It is. Yes.
And there's photos courtesy of friend of the pod, Rick Comiskey, Secretary of the Florida Rugby Union, former president of Miami RFC. But thanks to Rick, he's been taking some great photos. I know he got a decent sunburn this past weekend, so hopefully he's lathering on the aloe vera. over the last couple of days and taking care of himself. But he's taken some great photos over the last few years of Florida rugby.
Yeah,
before we let you guys go, it's almost 9:30, Charlie. We knew this episode was going to run long, but I appreciate everybody sticking around, especially those of you that normally join us on Facebook but couldn't tonight just because of some technical problems. Again, we're always available on YouTube as well as Twitch, and maybe even Periscope via Twitter as well, Charlie. I think we're going on. We'll have to make sure we promote that as well. I don't need my glasses right now. I'm good, babe. I'm hanging in there, but I certainly don't need glasses to see the gentleman involved in this next highlight.
Okay, so let's show it. And
Chris, I need your opinion on this.
Okay.
I don't know if you saw it or not.
Whoa!
And that is the man formerly known as Cagney Coburn.
Coburn, yeah.
We have to show it again. We have to show it again.
This clip is amazing for a variety of reasons. He's already in the in goal at this point. Could have just put it down. Instead, he just decides to trap this poor kid.
That's the reason he plays rugby, just to hit people. Yeah, that's the only reason.
Yes.
Let's watch it again here.
You could just put it down there.
He was looking at a Big Mac underneath the posts and wanted to get. And then he wanted the sub.
He said it convincingly.
He didn't get it. Puts the hands on that. We've all been there. Cagney Coburn with the hit of the week. What was it? What was her name from last week? Phyllis Pena. The Phyllis Pena hit of the week.
Yes.
Goes to Cagney Coburn for running over a poor kid that has a family. He has a family, Cagney. Please don't do that to anybody anymore. We don't see Cagney on the field too often these days, for commitment reasons. But he took the field for the Stormers this week, and it was great to see him out there.
Yeah,
running people over, even if it was running people over in the in goal. That poor kid will know. Next time he'll just know to say, "Ole, go ahead and go under the posts."
That's why I play touch now, because of that.
Yeah. Listen, as Eric said there, get that boy some oxygen. That's one thing he hasn't been eating during the pandemic, apparently.
Ross, I saw that score with Lindenwood and Life Women.
We almost forgot to mention Chris Vassell, a Life alumnus here. Yeah. Very disappointed, I'm sure, over the weekend of both the men's and the women's teams losing to Lindenwood.
Yeah. Lindenwood, with Megan Morgan, she's a scrum half for that match I saw.
She is.
But Lindenwood looks good. I was shocked to see that outcome.
Well, it's good to get that matchup finally competitive.
I thought it was going to be closer.
Yeah, the men had won 18 in a row over Lindenwood, and it's good to see a team, giving them a battle in that Mid-South Conference. And Life have 4 Florida products on there. I know a couple of guys started, as I mentioned, Chase Sorhaskin and Rhymes.
Yes.
I know Rhymes. I think Rhymes played JV game actually, but no, it's good to see some Florida products. But Life took a whooping.
Yeah, they did.
We'll see how they bounce back. Well, Chris,
definitely.
Thanks for joining us as always. Again, thanks to our
for having me on.
401k FL. Go to 401k FL for all your 401k needs. We really appreciate Mick's help on the sponsorship side of things, and we're certainly going to have him on next week. This was definitely the most packed episode we've ever had, Charlie. We made it through. You bringing him back on again? Listen, go all day. GoAllDay.com.
Okay.
Teddy Chapman.
Teddy, sponsor.
I'm running down.
Checks in the mail as well. We do accept swag.
We'll make it happen.
We do accept swag as well.
Ross, great stuff. Thank you so much. Keep spreading rugby, building the culture. We're growing. Thank you.
We are. I want, before we go, I have to acknowledge my daughter Valentina, who for this occasion she put on her Fiji rugby shirt.
There she is.
And very happy. And actually today, the crowd got bigger, and finally, like we had a full house there. All my kids. So
that's an awesome shot right there, Charlie. Everybody checking out the podcast.
Very,
almost brings a tear to my eye. I'm sure that makes you proud. But great to see all the Velasquez kids checking out their their dad. Sorry, on the podcast. that's an inside running joke that Charlie and I have. He knows it's all said and done. Listen, awesome show. We went a little long, but next week I think we're going to try and go to a 7 p.m. start because my soccer season is over. Hopefully, it'll end with a championship on Saturday. But maybe no practice next week.
Maybe not screw up the Facebook because that It's a bummer, but we'll post this. I'll post it on Facebook anyway.
Charlie's going to post the video. If you missed it live, you can obviously always catch the replays on Facebook as well as YouTube. And if you just want to listen while you're driving in the car, available on all major podcast platforms just shortly after the episode. Charlie puts those up really super quick. So you can check those out on your drive to work tomorrow. You obviously don't get to see all the visuals, but it's mostly an audio podcast for the most part. We do like to get the highlights in there, but it's good to have available for those that have a nice long drive to work and can check it out on the way there and on the way back. Well, Charlie, as always, you're the man. You put most of the work into this thing. I just show up and talk, 2 minutes before the show starts this time. I promise that won't happen again next week, but I'm just glad we got through this episode without any major issues. And none of us decided to punch each other in the face, which is always a good thing. It happened a little bit at Ruggerfest on Saturday, but we won't.
Oh, right.
We're done with that now. We'll move on. And big weekend of action on the 27th. So get out there and watch your local rugby team. Support your local rugby team. Obviously, separate yourselves by 6 feet if you can, and wear a mask if you can, even outside. And stay safe, everybody. And we'll see you again next week on the episode 23 of TFRO, Talking Fly Rugby Occasionally. Thanks, Charlie. Thanks, TV.
Thank you, guys. We'll see you next week.
Thank you.
Hey, you got the biggest fans, man. I don't know. You want to buy this thing from us?
Hey,
you can call me, okay?
He works in the medical field. He's got plenty of money.
Yeah. I work for someone that makes some money.
He's got a lot of kids, though.
I do. I got a lot of children.
Okay.
Children. All right, guys. Love you.
Bye-bye.
Love you too, bud.